Traoré, who came to power via a coup in September 2022, has consistently framed his leadership as a pushback against neocolonialism, particularly from Western powers like France. He's accused the West of exploiting Burkina Faso's resources, such as gold and agricultural wealth, while keeping the country destabilized through indirect support of insurgencies or economic control. For example, he expelled French troops in 2023, ending a long-standing military presence, and has pivoted toward partnerships with Russia, citing a need for sovereignty. In speeches, like his notable address at the Russia-Africa Summit in July 2023, he said things like, "We no longer want people to interfere in our affairs," and questioned why resource-rich Africa remains poor, pointing fingers at imperialist agendas. His claims about the West wanting him to fail often tie into a broader narrative, that his efforts to nationalize industries, e.g., gold mines and tomato processing, and build self-sufficiency, threaten Western economic interests. He suggested that instability, like the ongoing jihadist insurgency controlling nearly half the country, is either tolerated or exacerbated by foreign powers to undermine his regime. Posts on X and various YouTube videos amplify this, with titles like "Ibrahim Traoré exposes Western manipulation" or "The West's plot against Traoré," reflecting a sentiment among his supporters that he's a target for defying the status quo. That said, there's no hard evidence, like declassified documents or whistleblower testimony, directly proving a Western conspiracy to make him fail. Critics argue his governance hasn't stemmed the security crisis. Violence has risen 20% since he took power, and that his anti-West rhetoric might be a convenient scapegoat for domestic challenges. Still, his perspective resonates with many who see a pattern of intervention in African politics, think Libya and Gaddafi, a comparison Traoré himself has drawn. Some media reports suggest that the young captain and his junta enjoy popular support throughout the country. Some have even drawn comparisons between Traoré and Burkina Faso's earlier leftist revolutionary military leader, Captain Thomas Sankara. It's true that the two captains did take power at the age of 34, but the comparisons end at their rank and age. During the 1980s and nearing the end of the Cold War, Sankara came to power as ideological division split the Burkinabe armed forces. Officers supporting Sankara led a coup in 1983. Viewed as a Marxist revolutionary, Sankara attempted to enact political reforms. They included policies to boost public political participation, empower women, address environmental degradation, and reduce inequalities. Traoré's position is much more precarious. Most military officers did not participate in either his coup or the one led by Damiba, underscoring the fragmented state of Burkina Faso's armed forces. Traoré's junta has claimed there have been multiple attempts at destabilization or coups. This highlights the arbitrary means by which power has changed hands and the inherent instability present under junta rule. To shore up his position, Traoré has launched a restructuring drive. This has included redirecting revenues from taxes, the mining sector, and other sources of public revenues into defense coffers. He has also mobilized volunteers to fight violent extremists as part of the Volunteers for the Defense of the Homeland, a junta-sponsored civilian militia. There are reports that forced conscription has been used to send volunteers to the front lines of battle. The conflict data indicate that the strategy is not working. Traoré may not be as popular among ordinary people as he is often portrayed. This is inferred from the violent repression of critics, multiple alleged coup attempts, as well as the ongoing violence and humanitarian crisis. He has cracked down hard on independent voices, journalists, civil society leaders, political party leaders, and even judges have been targeted by the junta with its forced conscription tactics and other forms of violent repression. The September 2022 coup d'etat got the attention of Russian foreign information, manipulation and interference campaigns. The campaigns were linked to the shadowy Russian mercenary outfit, the Wagner Group. Other Russian information campaigns employed fake social media accounts that pose as Africans with a genuine interest in Burkina Faso. These accounts promote divisive rhetoric that places blame on France and other Western countries for local grievances such as ongoing insecurity. Aiming to boost support for himself immediately following the coup, Traoré trained his sights on capturing the anti-French sentiment. He blamed the French for many of the country's woes and cast Damiba as a close French ally. Within a few months, Traoré demanded the French withdraw its security presence from Burkina Faso altogether. Since the French withdrawal, Russian mercenaries have been seen providing protection for Traoré and reportedly supporting operations near the border with Mali. However, only some 100-300 Russian forces have gone to Burkina Faso. This suggests that the focus is on regime security for Traoré and his junta. What does the future hold? Traoré's actions have not improved the security situation in the country. There have been at least 3,059 violent events linked to militant Islamist groups since he came to power in October 2022. This is a 20% increase in comparison to 2 years preceding the coup. The number of fatalities linked to militant Islamist violence nearly doubled from 3,621 in 2022 to 6,389 in 2024. The violence has also spread throughout the country to affect nearly every region and increased along Burkina Faso's southern border. It's likely that the data is underreported. Deaths to come. The junta has claimed to have foiled several coup plots since Traoré's power grab. A foiled plot came in September 2024, only a few weeks after the deadliest massacre the country has ever suffered. Violent extremists killed hundreds of civilians outside the town of Barcelogo. Civilian fatalities linked to militant Islamist groups have increased from 721 in 2022 to 151 deaths in 2024. Perhaps more worrying are the civilian fatalities linked to the military or its sponsored militia. The violence in Burkina Faso presents an alarming outlook in which the collapse of the country cannot be ruled out. The military has re-emerged as the principal political actor. By some counts, the military has been directly or indirectly in power for 45 of the 65 years since Burkina Faso became independent. All the while, the militant Islamist insurgency embroils more and more of the countryside at great human cost. Some estimates place the number of people displaced by violence as high as 3 million, though the junta will not provide an official figure. That is more than 10% of the population of some 24 million people. Another million or more students may not be in school due to conflict and ongoing insecurity. Despite the effort to present Traoré as a bold reformer and savior, the political, security and economic ramifications from his junta rule will reverberate through. Burkina Faso for Deka, a slave who cannot assume his own revolt, does not deserve to be pitied, says Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso. Captain Ibrahim Traoré denounced Western neocolonialism, pledges an end to poverty and deadly mass migration from Africa. The Second Russia-Africa Summit, held in St. Petersburg from July 27 to 28, was attended by delegations from 49 African countries, including 17 heads of state. The summit represented a key inflection point in the growing process of multipolarization, as the Global South moves away from Western, US-centered hegemonic control. Below is the full text of the speech given by Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the interim president of Burkina Faso, at the summit. Traoré declared, "A slave who cannot assume his own revolt does not deserve to be pitied. We do not feel sorry for ourselves. We do not ask anyone to feel sorry for us." He called on Africans to take up the fight against imperialism and poverty. Comrade President Vladimir Putin. Comrades Presidents, African Heads of State. Comrades Heads of Delegation. Good morning. It is an honor for me this morning to speak here and to pass on to you the fraternal greetings of the people of the country of upright men. This is also the place for me, first and foremost, to give thanks to God, Almighty God, who has enabled us to meet here this morning in good health, to talk about the future and the well-being of our peoples. I would like to apologize to any elders who may be offended by my forthcoming comments. Africanity obliges the right of birth. I must apologize. Comrades, I have a few questions from my generation. 1,001 questions, but we have no response. And it so happens that here we can air our dirty laundry because we feel like family. We feel like family in the sense that Russia is a family for Africa too. We are a family because we have the same history. Russia made enormous sacrifices to free the world from Nazism during the Second World War. The African people, our grandfathers, were also forcibly deported to help Europe get rid of Nazism. We share the same history in the sense that we are the forgotten peoples of the world, whether in history books, documentaries, or films. We tend to dismiss the key role played by Russia and Africa in the fight against Nazism. We are here together because we are here to talk about the future of our peoples, about what is going to happen tomorrow, about this free world to which we aspire, this world without interference in our internal affairs. We have the same perspectives, and I hope that this summit will be an opportunity to forge very good relations with the aim of a better future for our peoples. The questions my generation is asking are the following. If I can summarize, it is that we do not understand how Africa, with so much wealth on our soil, with generous nature, water, sunshine in abundance, how Africa is today the poorest continent. Africa is a hungry continent. And how come there are heads of state all over the world begging? These are the questions we are asking ourselves, and we have no answers so far. We have the opportunity to forge new relationships, and I hope that these relationships can be the best ones to give our peoples a better future. My generation also asks me to say that because of this poverty, they are forced to cross the ocean to try to reach Europe. They die in the ocean, but soon they will no longer have to cross, because they will come to our palaces to seek their daily bread. As far as what concerns Burkina Faso today, for more than 8 years, we've been confronted with the most barbaric, the most violent form of imperialist neocolonialism. Slavery continues to impose itself on us. Our predecessors taught us one thing: a slave who cannot assume his own revolt does not deserve to be pitied. We do not feel sorry for ourselves. We do not ask anyone to feel sorry for us. The people of Burkina Faso have decided to fight against terrorism, in order to relaunch their development. In this struggle, valiant people from 20 populations have pledged to take up arms in the face of terrorism. This we affectionately call the VDP of volunteers. We are surprised to see the imperialists calling these VDPs militias and all kinds of things. It is disappointing because in Europe, when people take up arms to defend their homeland, they are called patriots. Our grandfathers were deported to save Europe. It was not with their consent, it was against their will. Well, on returning, we remember well that at Traoré, when they wanted to claim their basic rights, they were massacred. It doesn't matter. Then, that when we, the people, decide to defend ourselves, we are called a militia. But that's not the problem. What is the problem are African heads of state, who contribute nothing to these people who are fighting, but who sing the same song as the imperialists, calling us militias, calling us men who don't respect human rights. Which human rights are we talking about? We take offense at this. It is shameful. We African heads of state must stop behaving like puppets, who dance every time the imperialists pull the strings. Yesterday, President Vladimir Putin announced that he would be sending grain to Africa. We are very pleased. We thank him for that. But it's also a message to our African heads of state, because at the next forum we cannot come here without ensuring, for those who are not familiar with war, that our people are self-sufficient in food. We need to take the experience of those who have already achieved this in Africa, build good relations here, and build better relations with the Russian Federation, so that we can meet the needs of our people. I won't be long. Time is very short. We have to stop at a certain point. But I would like to finish by saying that we must therefore pay tribute to our peoples who are fighting. Glory to our peoples, dignity to our peoples, victory to our peoples. Homeland or death, we shall conquer. Thank you, comrades.